Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Alonda Carter and I am the recovering Hunbot. I focus on anti-MLM, so if you enjoy anti-MLM content, you might want to consider subscribing. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. It is a collaboration with me and Monica Siembieda. I'm not sure if I said her name right. She is also a former Beachbody Hunbot, so I am going to put a link to her channel in the description. She has the second half of our discussion, and mine, well, if she has a second, that means mine's the first, right? And I will put a link to that also towards the end of the video as well. So if all that sounds good to you, then grab a cup of coffee or some tea, get your lunch, a snack, whatever it is that you need, and come with me. All right, so it should be recording now.
Cool.
I'm really glad that you are here. It's when your video came across my recommended, I was so excited to see somebody else speaking out about Beachbody.
Yeah, they need to go down.
Yeah, absolutely, they need to go down. And I'm still in some of the Beachbody groups, and I've done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I've gone in there and I've gotten screenshots of stuff and shared it of like recent things, because I go in there and I look at these girls and I'm like, that was me. Because all these girls are on the struggle bus. These are not the people making any money. They're all dreaming about it.
Yeah.
And my heart breaks for them. And they come in there like, oh, a tip on this or a tip on that. I'm like, oh, all those tips aren't going to do.
The problem is that it's just like the market is so saturated at this point because everyone knows who Beachbody is, and they're promising, these higher ups, the uplines, they're promising all this stuff because they have this downline, and it's sad, honestly.
Let me ask you this, because before I hit record, I kind of alluded to this. Because I just want to get somebody else's thought. Do you think people who have a team, like even with say 10 people, 20 people underneath them, 100 people, do you think that they know how difficult it is for anybody who's coming in right now for them to even hit the first rank?
Honestly, I don't think that they even think about that, because if they did think about that, then they wouldn't recruit people knowing how extremely hard it is. And that would just make them a terrible person, in my opinion. But yeah, I think that because they started so early on, that they just don't understand the struggle of it right now and how it is so saturated. And you can give them all the tips that you want, but really the MLM structure just works against you. It's not a good structure. So, I mean, they might know, they might not know, but if they do know that the people are getting set up for failure, then they're just a horrible person.
Well, that's what I kind of struggle with. It's like, I kind of think about, like, initially, maybe they were wide-eyed and bushy-tailed themselves, and, they were able to get success. And I think, one, it's because when you do come in early like that, and something that I did hear from BB, I don't know if you saw that video that I did, but she was a very high-ranking coach. She was an elite coach,
Okay.
now anti-MLM. And I need to get this information from her. But apparently the people who first joined, they had all been in MLMs before. And that is a pattern that I have seen also, is people experience and then like recruited for another MLM, and so then they rebuild. And then it becomes that whole, it's an illusion of residual income, because you're always chasing, because you're always, you can't stop. You have to plug the holes. But if they have all done it before, then they've gained some skills, I would think,
Well, a lot of the Beachbody coaches, whether it be the people that used to be my upline, or just people that I know that did Beachbody too, a lot of them have either just completely stopped Beachbody. It's almost as if at one point in time, I don't know what happened because I wasn't part of the group, but I think something happened and literally everyone just went their separate ways. So there was that situation that happened. But I mean, I see people all over my Facebook that used to be Beachbody coaches, and they've either one, only focused on their full-time job, because that's another thing. None of my uplines had Beachbody as just Beachbody. They all had full-time jobs. So the whole financial freedom thing, it's non-existent. But then I also see the people that I was just friends with. They weren't on my team or anything like that, and they're the ones that got kicked out of Beachbody and are now doing other MLMs. And when they started doing the other MLMs, it was brand new ones that I had never even heard of before. So they got in from the ground level and they were able to work their way up. But yeah, I mean, that's really the only way you're going to succeed, is if you get in at the ground level when it's just starting out, it's a brand new MLM, and just, you have to hope that it takes off.
What MLMs did you see other people go into that were new?
The one girl, what's the one with all the keto stuff?
Prove It was one.
Yeah, I think that was the main one. And then there was another one where I forget the name of it, but they were selling wine. It was like something
Direct
for
seller.
wine.
Direct sellers.
Yeah. Yeah. So those were the top two that I saw. And then the other coaches, they just never went to MLMs, and they actually like all of my anti-MLM content on either Facebook or, like Instagram. So yeah.
Wow. Well, direct sellers collapsed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I did a video on that this past week too. Yeah. Last week, and there was a big announcement that they were shutting down the MLM aspect.
Well, that's what happened to AdvoCare recently too. They got sued, and now they're, they were, the FTC actually banned them from ever having an MLM structure again. So yay.
But I don't trust that, because I think they can go. I can see the people like I did a video on this as well. Because the people who are involved, I think they can become consultants for another MLM. They can still work the MLM angle in some way. Whether it's, creating a coaching thing to help people in MLM, whether it is to go to a different MLM and, build another team there. But the owners of it, that's where I'd see like consultants and stuff. And I still don't trust, because they still have a distributorship. I am not going to trust that there's not something janky going on with it, because this has been going on for, over 100 years in terms of the business model.
Yeah, I mean, if you just take a look at, I don't know if you watched it or not on Netflix, Betting on Zero.
Yeah.
It's about Herbalife. That is a really, really good documentary. And I mean, they got sued too, and they had to restructure, but it's still, and my parents were actually part of Herbalife at one point. And my dad actually got sick from the products, so he ended up in the hospital and everything. Wow. So I should have learned my anti-MLM lesson a very long time ago. But yeah, no, it's just, I don't know. It's just crazy to think about. I honestly hope that AdvoCare stays to, the companies that get in trouble. I hope that they stay non-MLM. But if you can be a pyramid scheme for so long, and then you get caught after so many years, there's definitely a way around it for sure.
Yeah, and you've made money in the meantime.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's only illegal if you get caught, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And the problem is too, is I just uploaded a video about this yesterday too. A lot of people out there don't know what a pyramid scheme actually is, because I didn't talk about who the girl was, but there was a link actually sent to me for a video, and it was a girl who was talking about how she knows that she's part of Monat, I think is how they say it. But she was talking about the difference between an MLM and a pyramid scheme. And then she was saying how she has a testimony that she was actually part of a pyramid scheme. But when she was talking about it, it wasn't a pyramid scheme. It sounded like it was a Ponzi scheme. Like, it just sounded like it was just an illegal, illegitimate company. And it honestly just sounded like a scam. So that's the problem too, is that these people, and, I hope that she doesn't lose money in this business, and I don't wish any ill will on any Hunbots or anything like that, because it sucks when you lose money. But the problem is that they're so brainwashed, and there's just so much cult mentality that they start spewing all of the things that their upline is telling them, and then it just trickles down, because then they're spewing it to either the people that they're trying to get on their team, or the people who they're trying to get to buy their product. And it's just like a domino effect, basically. And no one thinks, because it sounds so nice and it sounds so enticing, and financial freedom, and because that's one of the big main things that they talk about. And it's just sad that it's so easy. Like, I was sucked into not just one but two MLMs, and it's just so easy to suck people in, unfortunately.
Well, what I'm finding as I collect these stories is that before people got involved in the MLM, they really didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody across the board was, had no clue, and myself included. Even though
Yeah.
I grew up and Herbalife, has touched my life, Amway has touched my life. All these different things have touched me, but I never realized the destructive nature or
Mm-hmm.
anything. Even when I joined, I was totally clueless. And for me personally, I think the person who signed me up, she really clued in on the finances for me. And so she said she was making 6 figures. But now that I have talked to someone who was an elite coach and she wasn't making 6 figures, my upline, my sponsor, was only a 2-star diamond in Beachbody. So it's like, there's no way you were making that kind of money. There's absolutely no way. But she knew what to say to me. And she's now in Hemp Works, and I still can see some of her posts through a different account because I'm blocked by her. But I go scroll because I want to know. But she is regurgitating the same stuff that she said when she was direct sellers, that she said when she was with Beachbody, and she's talking about how she's duplicating herself. And that she's duplicating herself, that proves that she's having success.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, okay, so you're duplicating yourself. What does that mean? Because one of my things is always that people who come in, and even now, because I saw it like in 2017, there was someone who had been a Spanish soap opera star, and she was on my team. Of course, she had influence,
Yeah.
So these people that are below this person who was my coach, I'm like, well, what kind of influence do they have so they're a higher rank than you? They have to have something, because you just don't walk into this and all of a sudden everybody is just clamoring to get this thing you have to offer. That just does not exist.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how you mentioned Hemp Works, because I have a funny story about that. So obviously we own a CBD store. And we were at an expo a few weeks ago, and Hemp Works was there, which kind of frustrates me, because literally there were so many MLM booths. And it was when I first started, my first video came out, actually. It was around that time. And so all of the Hemp Works people, they actually came up to our booth, because we had CBD, they sell CBD, but our product is, we put a lot of hard work into this. And like anything that has our logo on it is something that we research. We have registered growers, so we know where all of our stuff comes from, and we have all of our lab testing. So all of them, they kept coming up to our booth. And it was funny because one of the girls that was also working at the expo, she had actually come into our store the next day, and she was just like, talking to us. She brought one of her friends in, and she said that one of them tried to recruit her. Now, this girl, she had to be, I don't know, she must have been 18, 19 years old. Like, she was a young kid. And you could tell that she was very shy, very quiet, not really the big boom, MLM type or anything. And she had told me that one of the Hemp Works people was trying to recruit her, and any information that this person gave her about CBD, like, because she told us some of this stuff, and it wasn't the correct information. 1, 2, I think I scared the girl a little bit. I was like, don't do it. And she's like, why? And I'm like, it's an MLM, don't do it. What's an MLM? So I had to give her like a quick rundown of what it was. And I mean, it's because she's a young kid. So it's just, they're everywhere. They're literally everywhere.
Well, I really feel that social media gave them a platform to, excuse me, to explode. Just like say,
Hmm.
I can't remember the exact year that 21 Day Fix came out, but it was like 2014, 2013, something like that. So
Hmm.
that's been a long time in social media time frames. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, I mean, 6 months, there's going to be a lot of change in social media. So, I mean, several years, yeah, that's going to be a lot of changes. So I think at that time, when I'm going to go with Beachbody, and people started doing their before and afters and started, their groups. I think there was an interest then because it was new.
Hmm.
People didn't know about Hey Hun messages because it was new. Everything was
Yep.
new. And just like social media gave them a platform to explode, it's also given them a platform to be exposed.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, as soon as, and this, it's so funny because back in the day when I was doing Beachbody, I would see, my friend and my follower count and stuff decreasing because I mean, I don't know if they told you the same thing, but I had to post at least 3 to 5 times a day on Facebook alone. So it was like a constant thing. And I saw my friend count just, completely decreasing. And now that I'm doing all the anti-MLM stuff, anytime that I post anything, because most of it goes on my Instagram rather than my Facebook, but every time I post on Instagram, it's almost every time I lose at least 10 followers. And I'm just like, okay, good, because I don't want, that's probably all the Hunbots. And I've gotten so many messages, and I've had people reach out to me. One of my friends, she sent me screenshots of an actual conversation that she was having. And she asked me, she was like, is this a pitch? And I started reading it, and I was like, oh, this is a pitch for Beachbody. So then not even 5 minutes later, she sends me another screenshot, and this girl says that she just became a coach for Beachbody. So I told her, I was like, yep, this is a hey girl message.
Now I look back, actually I did a search. I'm not going to say what I did a search on because I don't want to share that quite yet, but I will, because I will expose my warts. I have no problem exposing my own warts. But it's just like I saw what I saw of my own post where I searched for this particular thing, and I'm like, oh, I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
horrifying. It's like I was that girl. I was that girl that nobody wanted to talk to, and people were just being polite to because they liked me.
That was the same thing. Like when I made fun of myself in one of my videos, I literally had to dig for these posts because it was like a few years ago. And so I was just looking at the posts on my Facebook, and everyone that I talked about in the video, I just laughed at myself because I was like, okay, one, no one's going to read through like 6 paragraphs worth of, oh my gosh, this is my journey. That's what a blog is for. Okay. And then all the other ones, like all the excited faces and stuff, like, girl, come on. What were you thinking? But yeah.
I was doing my workout every morning, going live, and it's like nobody cared. I mean, it's like I
Yeah.
have people watching, but it's like no one gave a shit. And why?
Yeah.
But then I would see other people who were higher up and who had teams, and I know I want to say this one person that I'm thinking of that was in it. He was in the top 10 a couple of years ago or something. And it's like they would do their workouts and they'd have all this engagement. And I'm like, well, what am I doing wrong that I'm doing the same thing and nobody cares? What's the difference? And that always bothered me. What's
Honestly.
the difference?
Honestly, I think part of the difference too is because I pay attention more to this stuff now, but I think some of it too is a lot of their people and their team
Yeah.
are on there engaging with them because there was one girl who sent me in my Facebook group. She sent me like a screenshot, and it was of Tori Bell. You just did a video on this.
Yeah.
I saw that yeah. And so they actually asked me to cover it. So I knew nothing about them. And so, but she sent me the screenshot, and they're talking about affiliate marketing, which as a blogger, that annoys me so much that they call it affiliate marketing because that's not what affiliate marketing is, but that's a whole rant on its own. But so she sent me the screenshot, and literally every single comment on that post was from either their upline or their downline. Every person saying, this is a life-changing experience. This is the best company ever. And the same girl actually sent another screenshot into the group, I think it was last night. And they had talked about how they had $2.2 million go out to these distributors and or affiliates, whatever they called them. And I did the math. And if you took the 2.2 million and divided it by how many people were in the actual company, if it was divided equally, each person would have only gotten, I think it was like $260 or $270, something like that, each person. So if there are, you know, like the pyramid structure, obviously someone had to lose money. So, and they try to make it so misleading because they make it sound like, oh, 2.2 million and we only have this many affiliates, but it's, when you actually do the math, it's really not that much.
Yeah.
So
when I did my video on Tori Bell, when I saw that they were calling it affiliate, and that is something that I've been noticing more and more, is that an affiliate, like Unique is doing affiliate links, and I'm like, this is janky. This is just another way to try to make it look legit.
Yeah.
And it's not, because with affiliate marketing, you do not have to pay to get a starter kit.
Exactly. And you don't have to have a personal volume. And what really grinded my gears about Tori Bell was when I looked at their compensation plan, and you covered this in your video too, but when they called it like affiliate, then influencer, then director of influence. You are not an influencer. And I'm not trying to sound like, you know, not everyone can be an influencer, because anyone in the world can be an influencer if they want to. I actually really hate that word, to be completely honest, but they make it sound so, I guess, like glamorous, and how, because a lot of kids these days, they want to be influencers. That's like their dream job. And so that's the problem, is that they're making it sound so like beautiful and glamorous and this and that. That is not what an influencer is. That is not what affiliate marketing is. I do affiliate marketing through my blog. That's not what it is. And it just frustrates me so bad, because they take away that hard work from the people who did do that. Like, I've been blogging for 6 years, and I had to learn a lot of stuff along the way. Like, I had to learn how to create a website and everything like that. And for you to just slap something like influencer or affiliate marketing on something that is an MLM and is potentially a pyramid scheme, that's just, it's not fair. You take away from all the other people that have done the hard work. And that's another thing, is when they say, well, this is my small business. No, this is not your business. It's not. You can sit there and try to say that as much as you want, but I've said this in so many videos of mine, that you take away from the people who have actually done that hard work. And I see it now when I look back on it, and just thinking about Beachbody, like, there are people who went to school to be a nutritionist or a dietitian, or people who went to go get their certifications to be a personal trainer. And then there's all the Beachbody coaches that have no training. And that was something towards the end, I started thinking about it. And it was just, for me, I was like, am I going to get in trouble? Because I have no certifications. I'm just talking about what Beachbody is telling me to say. And I don't know, I feel like it takes away from the people who actually did put that hard work and effort into that. But that's just my opinion.
I think it goes to semantics. And, you know, let's talk about, like you said, influencer. And now that you bring that up, that was something else that just grinded my gears about Tori Bell. I'm like, no, you're not. But I also know that that's something people desire to be. So they're going to play on that, you know, play on that ego side. But then let's take that a step further. Okay, any wine MLM is going to grind my gears, because my husband is a professional sommelier. You know, he actually knows wine. And I think, I can't remember what you're called in direct sellers. And now there's this chalupa and tamale are going to be playing. That's probably going to be picked up. with Wine Ambassador, this new one, it's like how they have I can't remember what they're called, but I just look at all of this. I'm like, well, you're taking away from someone who actually has the expertise. Oh, I know what it was. It was their wine tasting party, and they're talking about, you'll be the expert. And I'm like, no, you're not an expert. You're not an expert reading tasting notes. That's not expertise. And expertise is like my husband, who finds out what the menu is going to be and served at the kitchen table, figures out what wine to pair with that, and then is able to talk about the soil, talk about the producer, talk about the winemaker that he met, and all of that's an expert. But then let's take it another step further. And I think about Unique. And it's like, you're not a makeup artist. And now myself, I'm a former makeup artist, and I'm not on my own, but I did do it. But all these people, and that's why you see horrible makeup, is like, oh my gosh, it's painful looking at some of the makeup they do. And nothing against the individual. It's about the company and the fact that you're not given the real tools. And just like us with Beachbody, we were not trainers, we were not nutritionists. And I know Beachbody, you got away with it, so to speak, because, the meal plans were created by a professional, just like the tasting notes for direct sellers, traveling vineyards, wine ambassadors. They're created by somebody who has wine expertise. Everything is created by someone who has expertise, but the distributor who's on the front line doesn't have diddly. And I know I try to keep explaining this because I know people get really upset that Beachbody, it's called Coaches. And I'm like, it's just a word. It's just a word. That's all it is. So get your panties in a knot. It doesn't mean anything. It's just like presenter, distributor, but all of it's just a word. But I also understand, because if that is your area of expertise, that's going to touch you in not a good way.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's funny that you actually brought up Unique, because so I called it Punique in one of my videos, and someone was like amazed in the comments that I called it Punique, and I was like, I mean, it just kind of makes sense to call it that. But anyway, the thing that bothers me about them is that they have that stupid, and I'm saying stupid because I know that it's a scam, but they have that organization to help abused women, and it's actually not a legitimate organization. And there was, I forget who I watched, but it was an ex Hunbot that did Unique, and she was talking about how you had to have, there's like some kind of retreat that you go on when you're part of that organization, and how you have to have like certain, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to have like certain requirements.
You have to have your life in order. I did a video on that myself.
Yeah. And so and this girl was actually saying that they were encouraging people to talk about their own story on their own social media to kind of make it, relatable and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, one, if you've been in any sort of abusive, environment, whether it's a relationship or your family or whatever, some kind of domestic violence, that is your story to tell. You tell that on your own time. You tell that when you're comfortable, or you don't tell it at all, because some people will never ever talk about their story, and that's fine. That's how they cope with it. That's how they deal with it. And for Unique to basically pressure these girls to tell their stories, I don't think that's fair. And then I saw just the other day, it was some kind of like MLM fail type video, and I was watching this one girl, and she basically took Unique makeup. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. But she basically took Unique makeup and made it look like she had like a bloody nose and like bruises and stuff on her body, and and I was just like, okay, that is so not okay. It just, I don't understand how these MLM companies, how they allow this to happen. Even Young Living, I just did a video about them, but they had, in 2014, the FDA actually issued a warning letter to them because they saw that their distributors were making claims that this cures cancer, this cures MS, this cures Parkinson's. And I just don't understand how it can get to the level of that. I don't know. And it's just, there was another thing too that is in my group. This girl, she was posting progress pictures of herself, and an It Works distributor and a Beachbody coach took her picture, chopped her head out of it, and used it as a before and after for their products. Well, the girl, she actually went to It Works corporate, and she went to Beachbody corporate and told them, this is my photo. I never use your guys' product. And they said, well, you posted it publicly, so they're able to use it. How can these MLMs, how can these big companies allow their distributors or coaches, presenters, whatever the hell they want to call them, how can they let them do this? And I told her, I was like, well, you can actually go after them if you really want to, because I had this problem. Someone took my picture from off of my blog and used it to sell their products, and that's actually copyright infringement. So I sent her a link to everything, and I was like, try to go with it in that direction. You might actually be able to win, because how can you use someone else's photo who never used your product, and you're probably selling stuff using her picture? That's fraud.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
You know, with Young Living, I know it goes back to all the claims that are made for every MLM, but I'm just going to use Young Living right now. There is a book associated with your starter kit that's not by Young Living, but it talks about all of these different, you know, essential oils and what they do. That's where people are getting that stuff. So it just unnerves me. It's the same thing like with Shakeology. That never didn't curb my appetite. That didn't lower my cravings for sweets. I actually liked the cafe latte when I was on it, you know, as long as I had almond milk with it. But I was drinking it only because I felt like I needed to, and I was saying stuff about it that was untrue.
Yeah. Yeah. See, a lot of the people that I had in my challenge groups, they actually did tell me that they didn't like the taste of Shakeology. I personally didn't mind it. I actually liked it because for me, it was so easy for me to come home after a long day of work, do my workout, and drink my Shakeology instead of having a legitimate dinner and not having to cook for myself. Like that, for me, it was, I think the reason why it tasted so good was because it was easy for me. But once I started doing a little bit more research, I have to say, allegedly, it's not good for people that are diabetic. I forget if it's type 1 or I think it's type 2. It's not good for type 2 diabetics, like for sure. But it's just, you know, and I actually had a girl ask me, she told me, she was like, I have type 1 diabetes. Is this okay for me to use? So I told her, and I'm sure that this doesn't happen all the time in Beachbody, but I told her, I was like, listen, I don't know. I don't want to do more harm than good. So if you do want to try it, please consult with your doctor first and give me something that says that he or she said it's okay. Because I don't want to be liable if something happens to her. Because, you know, my whole thing was I don't want to do more damage than good. And a lot of people, they don't care about that. Unfortunately, they don't.
I thoroughly enjoyed talking to Monica, and I hope you enjoyed hearing us chit chat. I really feel that it helps to know that you are not alone, you know? And since she did Beachbody just like I did, I think we can both look at that particular MLM from our own experience. But also what is great is that since we've been through the whole MLM thing, we have a good idea of Hun behavior and what's behind it. So, you know, we can kind of give that spin when we're looking at different things around associated with anti-MLM. So be sure to go and check out her channel so that you can hear the rest of our talk, and make sure that you subscribe to her channel as well. I also want to give you some heads up on content that's going to be coming out. And I've been doing some thinking after I had a video taken down for alleged, air quote, privacy issues. I have been deciding how to get this content back out to you because I think it's important. And so I want to thank one of my subscribers, Nicole. You may remember her from a video we did together. I'll throw a card up to that too. So what I'm going to do is walk you through the process of filing a report with the FTC, because I always tell you guys, you know, file with the FTC, but maybe you've never been there, you don't know how to do it. So I'm going to do that for you. Also, I am going to share with you my experience of being conned by someone who claimed to be one of these online gurus, just like those two characters do who the video was taken down. This whole online business guru thing. And I'm going to recreate that video, covering up any quote identifying information, although everyone involved is public facing, but hey, just trying to avoid this whole, there's a privacy thing, which really, all of your information, everything that I get, you can find. It's not like hiding somewhere. It's not like I'm going to, dark web or somewhere to find information. But I'll also make sure that I do provide source material links to you as well. So be on the lookout for that, and make sure to support that video series, because that will help me a lot if you can support that series, because I really feel the actions that they're doing are just really janky and very harmful to people. And it appears that they have a large number of people kind of like under their spell. And when you're under the spell, you can't see the forest for the trees, they're really pulling one over on people, and they're alleging that everything's on the up and up. It's not on the up and up. It just isn't. It connects to MLM. Plus, they're doing this whole other thing that has to do with an affiliate thing, but everybody's repeating the same thing. So it's kind of like MLM, but not, but affiliate. It's just really strange. Anyway, that will be coming up. If you enjoy anti-MLM content, I hope you'll consider subscribing. Hit that notification bell and give this video a thumbs up. It'd be super cool if you did that. I appreciate the time that you spend with me. And remember, if we want there to be a change, it's up to us to get the word out. It's up to us to speak, and not just slink into the corner. And I think that's what these characters were expecting, that I would just slink into the corner. But I'm not slinking at all. I don't slink. So I'm going to say, hey, if you want to get your story out there, let me know. You can use my Google form. We can also do a Zoom conference call kind of a thing, and I can edit out your voice. Just, let me know. I am happy to do that. I also invite you to file a report with the FTC, the SEC, and your state authorities, which can vary from state to state. For me, it's the Attorney General. Most people, like I've said, they just want to just put the experience behind them. They don't want to say anything. And therein lies an issue when people are silent. If you're silent and don't report it, then this can perpetuate. It's up to us to make sure that we are taking the proper actions and reporting these types of things. So that way other people don't have to go through the kind of experience that I've been through, that Monica has been through, and all the other stories that I have shared on my channel, as well as all the other people who've never shared their stories with me. Does that make sense? I really feel that if we start filing these reports for every MLM, Monday through Friday, every single day, I think that's going to be a very powerful and clear message, because there's power in numbers. And I think that will really make them realize, these governmental agencies, that there's something rotten in Denmark. And remember, change starts now.